Today's video is sponsored by GameStop and their new Victrix Pro BFG controller. Guys, you know I love controllers, and right here we have a phenomenal controller engineered from the ground up by Victrix and designed for esports. The Pro BFG is an advanced professional level controller licensed by PlayStation, but also compatible with PC. It features an innovative modular design, allowing for insane customization. Let's say if you want to drop in a 6-button fight pad or switch between Xbox and PlayStation style layouts, or even change out your thumbsticks, the Victrix Pro BFG does this and so much more. You can customize the triggers, reprogram different buttons, play wired or wireless. This is by far the most versatile controller I have ever used, allowing me to seamlessly jump between games like Destiny, Hogwarts Legacy, Rocket League, hell, anything and everything. Victrix BFG is now the standard. Now, this controller also comes with its own Control Hub app, so you can actually fine-tune every one of these settings and even separate profiles depending on which game you're playing. You also have 14 total interchangeable parts that it comes with, all stored neatly inside of its own custom carrying case. Again, guys, if you're interested in this controller, down below will be a link to it. We will be playing with it live, so feel free to come by the stream, guys, if you want to get a hands-on look at this controller with us. Again, big shout out to GameStop for sponsoring today's video. Fellas, we got an article here from Joe, so everybody buckle up. It's going to be a long one. Lightfall in the year ahead. Welcome to February, Guardians. My name's Joe. You may know me as the EXO and your Grandmaster using whatever exotic bow matches the Nightfall cinch, or the Awoken on your friends list, with their Fireteam set to close as they put another hour of attempts into soloing the latest dungeon, or maybe even the human with 3 different red border weapons equipped, trying to complete 10 separate bounties in a single match. But when I'm not logged into Destiny or on socials trying to convince people my Guardians fashion game is strong, I'm also the game director for Destiny 2. That's right, guys, Joe is an absolute gamer. There's a reason why we love this guy. In a couple of weeks, Lightfall will be in your hands, and the penultimate expansion and the Light and Darkness saga and its radical acceleration towards the final shape. But as excited as we all are about Lightfall, it's not the only thing coming to Destiny 2 this year. Destiny is a massive, living, breathing organism, and what it requires to thrive is an incredible development team with a constantly updated list of priorities that can regularly inject high-value changes. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain, talk about how we see the game right now, and what changes we need to make to allow Destiny to continue to evolve and thrive the way we all want. Yeah, fellas, this is definitely a state-of-the-game article. First, the good. We have gotten to a place where Guardians can expect consistency in the quality of content coming to Destiny 2 all year long. From the Witch Queen to Season of the Seraph, we are incredibly proud of all the high-quality shooter content and storytelling that has been added to the game over the last 12 months. But amid this quality and consistency, Destiny 2 can sometimes feel too predictable. While some consistency is necessary for us to be able to regularly update the game and prevent players from having to relearn Destiny every 3 months, as well as to maintain our team health and sustainability, it is clear that too much predictability has created a lack of surprise and delight by the time some of our major game updates get into your hands. AKA, we know you want more hidden missions. Aside from the predictability, we sometimes still hear a refrain that has been sung since the beginning of our journey. There's just not enough to do. While there's plenty happening at the start of an expansion or seasonal drop, by the end of the season, we often see our most engaged players lamenting that they have run out of things to sink their teeth into. Good God, really? Dude, I play this game like every single day, and I still have stuff to do. Now, this is not a problem that one more strike or an additional map can solve. Destiny 2 has an incredible amount of content, but sometimes not all our content is as rewarding or engaging as we would like. And sometimes you just can't find anyone to play with. That's why we're getting that in-game LFG, man. So with the issues laid out in front of us, we created our 4 big goals for Destiny 2 leading up to the final shape. First, expand players' imaginations. Okay. Bring challenge back to Destiny. Hard mode Destiny, here we come. Watch what I say, man. Honestly, can you imagine like an Iron Man mode Destiny? Third, enrich our content. And fourth, connect our Guardians. That being LFG. Now, none of these goals will be achieved with one change, and they are all going to require consistent maintenance to remain true. But for the rest of our time together today, I would like to walk through how we plan to address these big 4 goals in 2023. All right, boys, break out that popcorn. It's time! Expand players' imaginations. In Destiny 2, we want each major update to get the gears inside our players' heads turning on what's new and what it means for the way they interact with the game. This wasn't true for all the releases last year, and it's going to take changes across multiple releases to get us where we want to be. We can't break all the design bones we want to right away, so instead, let's unpack how we'll take on this big challenge over the course of the next year. Now, Season of Defiance. Oh, we got a seasonal name now? Lightfall will launch alongside Season of Defiance, and while most of this content was wrapped up before this new goal was put into place, we still have numerous seasonal quality of life changes along with substantial iterations to our current model coming to shake things up, starting with reducing complexity with our progression system. This means fewer competing currencies to earn. Okay, consolidation. We're doing away with Umbrals and number of energies. So after you've unlocked seasonal focusing, if you want to focus an engram into a particular seasonal weapon or armor, all you need is Glimmer in a seasonal engram. Additionally, seasonal engrams will be stored and tracked on seasonal vendors. So managing the engram bucket in your character's inventory will be much easier than it is today. Yeah, we did an entire video, guys, on legacy focusing. Lots of major changes. Let me just put it to you like this, though. Next season, it won't be cheap. Obtainable, but still not cheap. By the way, check out this picture. Mara in the background, the Cabal ships. We also won't be asking you to hold large stacks of seasonal currency to unlock a chest at the end of every seasonal activity. Instead, we'll be dropping singular keys throughout your playtime that allows you to extract better rewards from the chest at the end of a seasonal activity. This will create a simpler relationship where you know that if you have even one key, you're getting even better rewards. It also represents the repositioning of these chests as true bonuses, not requirements. Unlike today's seasonal currencies, keys won't drop every time you complete an activity. To compensate for this change, we've made the base rewards for each seasonal activity completion better. So when you earn and spend a key, it is a meaningful bonus, not a requirement to engage in the seasonal playlist. Finally, by default, keys can drop from seasonal activities, which means you are no longer required to play content outside of the seasonal playlist to chase seasonal rewards. Yes! I mean, I kind of understood the gameplay loop here. Like, Bungie wants you to go out and experience Destiny as a whole, but if you just want to grind seasonal activities and the seasonal loot, it would be nice to just get it all done within that single activity. Now, on top of these changes in Season Defiance, players can expect fewer total vendor upgrades, with each individual upgrade being more potent, and some upgrades even offering a variance on the way you interact with the seasonal activity. In Season of Defiance, we've also taken a big stab at the way we name our various progression systems and currencies. We want any player to read the name of something and immediately understand what it does. In short, to spend more time playing and less time trying to understand what they are supposed to do. All right, this is one of those things, guys. I mean, it sounds really good. I like consolidation. I like being able to engage more in the activity that I want to play. Fewer upgrades, but more potent. Makes me wonder if we still have a cap on how many upgrades we can get per week. Again, everyone's really annoyed with the grid model, seasonal model that we've seen across all of our different activities. I personally like it because it is simplified, but yes, the time gating, I could see where that can be annoying. Now, in seasons to come, after Season Defiance, we will head into Season of the Deep. Oh my God, are we going to Fundament? With some time under our belt to react to recent player feedback, Season of the Deep will not feature a vendor upgrade paradigm. Oh, okay. The same will be true for the following season. This doesn't mean players will never see vendor upgrade systems again, but instead means we want to create a more varied experimental framework and slowly create a wide array of different systems for players to show their investment into seasonal content. You know what this sounds like? This sounds like how DLCs used to be back in the day, right? Whether it was Warmind, Black Armory, you didn't have like that vendor upgrade paradigm. That became more of a thing when we got into the seasonal model. Now, this variety will also extend into the types of content players experience in the moment-to-moment gameplay of our later seasons. In both Season of the Deep and Season 22, the team is pushing the envelope to create more fresh activity experiences, like when we first unveiled Shadow Realm in Season of the Lost, or debut Battlegrounds in Season of the Chosen. One thing we want to continue from last year is casting a wide net when it comes to the themes and fantasies our players can expect with each release. Lightfall already has very different tones and settings from the Witch Queen, and we want to continue this tone of variety in our seasonal content. From Reapers to Pirates to Cowboys, last year's season proved that Destiny 2 can encompass experiences that contain widely varied inspirations, and we're committed to the adventures in Lightfall's collection of seasons feeling just as thematically fresh from one another as they did last year. Yeah, I will say it's kind of all over the place. When you consider baseline being Witch Queen and where we ended up, we went from like spooky to we're pirates, back to walking through space. I'm actually a big fan of the variety. The narratives too, especially this past seasons. Now, these stories, progressions, and themes aren't the only way we think we can stretch the player's imagination space. Some of this is going to come from putting new systems into Destiny 2 or revisiting systems that aren't quite hitting the mark. In Lightfall, we will be adding Guardian ranks to the game alongside rethinking Destiny 2's build crafting with loadouts. While we aren't going to go deep into either of those systems here, they both represent new lenses that we want to continue to apply to Destiny 2. For example, Guardian ranks aims to be the effortless way Guardians share their place in their journey with one another. No longer will the number next to your nameplate be a representation of how much you've grinded the season pass. Instead, it's a representation of your experiences as a Guardian and the challenges you face and overcome. I love this. I don't want it to just be raw XP. I mean, anybody can just be a Lost Sector Goblin, but actually putting a check by some of the hardest activities to complete in the game, that contributing to your Guardian rank, now that is something I can get behind. Now, weapon crafting. You're gonna want a killer set of weapons for those challenges. And this year, we're gonna change how you think about obtaining those weapons with some major updates to weapon crafting. While we love having some sources of deterministic perks, we found the route to getting the weapons you want to craft can be too random. At the same time, we also believe that weapon crafting being part of so many of our weapon chases has diminished the joy of simply getting a great perk roll as a drop. So here's what you can expect to change with weapon crafting in the year of Lightfall. First, to create independent chases for both crafted and non-crafted weapons starting with Lightfall, fewer of our total weapons will be craftable, and more of our weapons with long-term sources will get value from random perk rolls. All right, where are we going with this? Second, to allow these non-crafted weapons to stand toe-to-toe with crafted weapons in Lightfall. In the year of Lightfall, more and more of our non-crafted weapons, starting with new raid adepts this year, will have the ability to be enhanced. Okay, we saw this before, but essentially, guys, enhanced perks will be dropping on adept weapons in raids. Now, enhancing allows your dropped weapon to start leveling up, use mementos, and gain access to both enhanced perks and enhanced intrinsic properties. But only the enhanced versions of the perks and masterwork that are already on the version of the weapon you are enhancing. Simply said, with some time and resources, enhancing allows you to take the random roll weapon you've obtained and enhance its existing roll to match the full power of a crafted weapon. All right, so I think I'm starting to understand this. You will get the roll that you want. You will commit time to it, and this will open up the enhanced version of that roll. Now, we are targeting to roll this out initially with Lightfall and Raid Adepts at the launch of Season of the Deep. Oh, okay, so it's actually not coming this season, but the next season. Now, long term, we want to expand this functionality to most of our new non-crafted weapon drops, but there are some technical hurdles we need to solve first. For crafted weapons, we will have some additional changes planned. You will never see deep sight on a weapon unless it is something you need to make a pattern progress on. When you see a red border in game, you will know it's valuable. Targeting Season of the Deep, we will also be adding a mechanism to activate deep sights on any craftable weapon they do not have the pattern for. Oh, so you'll be able to take a single, like for instance, an Ikelos SMG. It is a craftable weapon. You can activate deep sight on it, and then I guess obtain the pattern this way. So essentially, we're like streamlining weapon crafting. Now, Joe continues. Finally, we want to tackle one more thing out of game to help with our goal of expanding the player imagination, and that's giving our players a little more of a sneak peek into the releases before they hit the servers. So while some of our releases this year will still be kept secret until they hit player machines, others, like Season of the Deep, will be previewed and share key details ahead of time. All right, so Bungie essentially heard everybody loud and clear on Twitter. Everybody was really upset, like that Season of the Haunted got literally no build up. It was just like, boom, here's the content the day of. And I think Bungie is trying to do that to like add flair or surprise by just dropping it the day the activity actually hits or the day the season hits. But I think many of us like to see the trailers leading up to a new season, some views of the weapons. All of this is pretty nice in developing hype. Now, everything here, honestly, like I like what I'm reading for the most part. Some of it is a tad bit confusing. In my opinion, this is a perfect opportunity for Bungie and Joe to give us like a Vidoc, right? Like if we could see this, actually see what you're talking about completely with crafting, like how it's going to change. Like I'm pretty sure I got a good understanding of what's going to change here with Season of the Deep, but visually seeing it is a whole nother story. The main takeaway starts with that first point. Fewer of our total weapons will be craftable, and more of our weapons with long-term sources will get value from random perk rolls. AKA Bungie is trying to put more looter back in this looter shooter. Now, big challenge, back to Destiny. We could have all the variety in the world, and that wouldn't matter much if we weren't also making sure that the content our players spend the most time with is engaging and interesting. There's a lot that goes into making a piece of Destiny content engaging, but at the Chewy Center, it's challenge. That's right, harder. Last year, we spent a lot of time bringing all of our subclasses up to the Stasis 3.0 standard. Now, during that time, not only did our abilities become more powerful, but their synergy with weapons and gear raised the total power tide for all boats. The result of these changes is a game with more compelling RPG, but at times, lower levels of challenge in our core content. With a player base as large as Destiny's, the right level of difficulty is going to be different for everyone. While we are still committed to offering multiple difficulty levels in content such as our campaigns, Nightfall, secret missions, dungeons, and raids, we feel like the baseline challenge in most of our content is just too low. Oh my God, my sweaty players out there right now are foaming at the mouth. Now, tuning abilities. Bringing challenge back to Destiny requires a two-pronged approach. If we just tune up our enemies across the game, we would start to encounter issues where combatants frequently one-shot players and would feel super spongy. As a result, even more relaxing content would require players to conform to the most meta Guardian loadouts. On the other hand, if we were only to tune the player's efficiency, the RPG elements would start to feel like they matter less. Destiny might start to lose its essential fantasy of being this powerful battle wizard in space. So instead of focusing just on one vector, we're going to take measured approaches in both the player's toolkit and the strength of our monsters. Let's start with the player's toolkit. Across both PvE and PvP, we believe that abilities dominate too many engagements due to potency, which we don't want to nerf, and uptime, which we do want to tackle. Destiny is a game about guns and powers. We want both to shine. So starting with Lightfall, we are moderately increasing ability recharge time across a wide selection of our abilities, as mentioned in the ability tuning preview last week. That's right, guys, we covered that. We are seeing upticks across the board for our abilities. We've also noticed that enemy combatants just aren't hitting as hard as we want them to, especially against max resilience guardians. So we're adjusting the amount of damage resistance granted by resilience and increasing the energy cost of resilience mods from 1 to 2 for minor mods and 3 to 4 for major mods. So yeah, not only are we getting an increase there, but the damage resist is going from 40% to 30%. Now, with the build crafting updates in Lightfall, we believe great builds will be much more accessible to the community, and while we still want your gear and your mods to be critical, some of the buffs to Guardians' damage and survivability were just a bit too strong in the old system, and so we've taken this opportunity for a balance patch to gear-driven buffs. Now, I know those last paragraphs might have been scary to read, but we don't think these changes are going to be a big swing of the balance pendulum. More than anything, this is about reining in some unintentional power creep that we saw over the last year. We're committed, as always, to make your Guardians feel like the ultimate monster-killing machine, and I'm confident that with Strand, our new build crafting updates, and a suite of new weapons coming in Lightfall, you'll be making Zavala and Shaxx very proud. Guys, we knew this was coming. We even made a video about Combatants 3.0. Bungie was gonna have to pick up the intensity of our enemies. But in this case, they're really just nerfing resilience. When you think back, we've seen this multiple times. Think of like Protective Light. Bungie had to nerf it. The fact that we got resilience and the amount of damage resist that we got with it for as long as we got it still blows my mind. And you can easily go into any Grandmaster Nightfall and check your survivability now with certain builds versus what your survivability used to be when GMs first hit. It's a 9-day difference. Back then, you had to have an Ursa Furiosa on your team or you just died. Some people said it wasn't fun. Personally, I was always rocking Ursa Furiosa, so yeah, I liked it. Not enemy mine, but I promise a two-sided approach to challenge. So let's talk about how things will be shaking up with enemy difficulty. Recently, we've been happy with the level challenge present in the base Heist Battlegrounds playlist, as have I. To achieve this, we use a difficulty knob that enforces just how over-leveled we will let players be compared to enemies that they are fighting. And this knob has always been present across all of our activities, and is adjusted based on how evergreen we want the challenge to be in those missions. Dude, I've been telling y'all for years, Bungie's got knobs over there. Confirmation right here. Now, we were pretty aggressive with this adjustment in Season of the Seraph, and it produced great results. So the base Battlegrounds playlist in Season of Defiance will use the same setting. Carrying this approach over, we're also going to be adjusting the same difficulty tweak on the Vanguard Ops playlist. We aren't going to set this playlist knob to a level quite as intense as the Battlegrounds playlist, but we do want to use this setting to make Vanguard Ops a lot more engaging to the average Guardian starting in Lightfall. This approach to power and difficulty is also going to be present when players are roaming around Neomuna. And while we don't want the entire game to feel like it's turned up to 11, we think these challenges will help the enemy forces patrolling Neomuna feel dangerous and worth your attention. Honestly, one of my favorite things to do is just like run up on scold enemies, right? You're like, oh, what's this guy? He's got a red skull on his head. Oh my God, he's wrecking me. That's a beautiful experience. It makes you quite conscientious of going into that area. Now, you may have noticed that we have been experimenting a lot with our power settings over the last few seasons, and we are planning on taking on even more experiments this year. We think that there are some major issues with power in Destiny 2 and how it prevents players from seeing some of our best content. So we like to make a big change to the system in the final shape. However, to understand more about how our changes could be improved, we want to keep tweaking our power settings over the year of Lightfall. Some of these tweaks might be found in our back end with a little transparency to the average Guardian, while others will be front and center. For example, when Lightfall launches, we will have a power climb that is very similar to that in Witch Queen, but later in Season of the Deep, we don't plan to raise the power or pinnacle cap at all. Oh, so they're just eliminating the power grind here outside of the annual expansion? Guys, y'all let me know how you feel about that. Now, enrich our content. With all these changes to power and pursuits, we also want to make sure there is plenty for players to sink their teeth into over the next year. For the last few years, we've been trying to attack this problem by trying to squeeze one or more morsel of new content in each release. But I think we can get better results with a different strategy, making the existing depth of incredible content in Destiny 2 more valuable to new and returning Guardians. Which brings us to Fiery Crucible. No, Bungie, don't give me hope right now. Let's start with one of our most evergreen rituals, the Crucible. Player versus player combat is here to stay in Destiny 2, as we think it's one of the most inherently replayable parts of the Destiny experience. Why, yes, it is, Bungie. Last year, we injected several new modes into PvP, from Rift to Eruption to Fortress, and we're excited for some of these game modes to get more face time in the core ritual experience. But we're not done adding variety to the ways you engage with PvP. In Season Defiance, we are looking at getting Countdown back into the game, along with a respawn variant of the game mode we call Countdown Rush, where players must detonate and defuse both bombs on the map before the round ends. We also aim to run a series of Crucible labs, including a mode where the player sandbox is dramatically changed. Weapon damage, ability uptime, and even ammo are all adjusted in a new mode tentatively titled Checkmate Control. This mode will reward players who use their smarts and their skills. So, if the only way the enemy has been able to shut you down in the past is a solo blade barrage, they might be in trouble. This isn't all we have planned for modes, so keep your eyes on labs for more classic and all new modes later this year. Now, we think that a steady stream of novel game modes and reining in of player power is going to do a lot for health of our PvP ecosystem, but we are still committed to keeping true to the Crucible maps plan, which means the arrival of Meltdown in Season the Deep, a brand new Vex Network map in Season 22, and the return of Citadel in our last season before the final shape. Look, some of you are going to be mad about this. I love Citadel. We will also be looking at our existing maps and doing a spawn retuning pass on many of them this year to improve how our various modes flow. Now again, I wish Bungie would just give us back all of our maps because variety is amazing, but for some reason, man, Bungie is still holding a lot of them back. Now in matchmaking, we still don't feel we have nailed the trade-off between fair matches and good connections. We still need to get features like dynamic skill ranges in game to allow for players across all skill levels to get consistently high quality connections in their matches. As we continue to adjust algorithms to improve connection qualities, we are also turning our eyes toward lobby balancing, where we aim to construct matches with a more consistent skill spread amongst players on both teams. We also want to continue to zoom out and make sure that we're upgrading the meta systems that encourage folks to play PvP. Think of this like the Iron Banner revamp, our recent increases to Iron Banner reputation, and our commitment to having 3 Iron Banners per season this year. While we haven't settled on the final details, we're currently looking at the rewards and matchmaking structures of Trials of Osiris, and would like to push more updates to that mode this year in order to more consistently keep the population at healthier levels. Finally, in competitive, we want to improve the speed at which players climb to the rank that most matches their Crucible skill and ensure it's clear why you won or lost, the specific number of rank points shown after a match. Look, this is all good and all, but again, skill-based matchmaking and comp is really weird considering you literally have a rank. It needs to be rank-based matchmaking. Secondly, it's good that you're acknowledging that the quality connections have been awful. It is like that because of your lobby balancing. In my opinion, that needs to be relaxed a bit more to grant good, solid connections before anything else, especially considering we have trials and comp. We literally have playlists that requires you to go in there and fight up against the best of the best. Comp should be the place you go to sweat. Social playlists, although I understand some levels of skill-based matchmaking, should still prioritize connection over everything else. Please, Bungie, this is not something you have to rethink the wheel on. The answer is right in front of you. Now, exotic mission Rotator. Trials won't be the only thing getting love as far as rituals go. So let's start talking about the PvE side of the game. Over the years, we've added a ton of great exotic missions like Presage and Operation Seraph Shield to Destiny 2. This year, not only will we continue to create new exotic missions, but starting in Season 22, we will be adding an exotic mission Rotator. Oh, thank God. We've been seeing it from dungeons and from raids, right? Where Bungie has these weekly rotations. It's good that we're going to get this with these missions. Now, like our legacy raid and dungeon rotators, the exotic mission Rotator will feature exotic missions from the past that rotate on a weekly cadence and offer great rewards for players willing to dive into some classic content. In Season 22, this Rotator will contain the exotic missions from Season 13, 16, and 19. This includes Presage, Vox Obscura, and Operation Seraph Shield. With this framework implemented, we hope to use this Rotator in the future to continue to bring some of Destiny 2's most classic missions back into the fold. Dude, that's great. Like, Bungie, I'm glad you're doing this, but I do miss Whisper. That whole mission is fantastic. A work of art. Outbreak perfected, I would jump right back into that. Obviously, Bungie would have to incentivize us to do those missions again, but if that can somehow get back into the game in that rotation, that would be fantastic. Now, refreshing our strikes. Another area of PvE we think we can have a big effect on is the Vanguard rituals. We've already talked about how we're going to be making the Vanguard Ops playlist more engaging by raising the challenge level. But with Lightfall, we're also shaking up some of the activities inside the playlist. This effort will begin with refreshing the Lake of Shadows and Armadillo Strikes, all right? So some OGs. Both activities have had their objectives and encounters reimagined and upgraded to match the combat engagement levels of some of our most recent strike entries, such as Lightblade and Proving Grounds. Interesting. Now, in addition, we are also taking strikes that have not been updated recently, such as Exodus Crash and the Inverted Spire, and dramatically reducing their presence in the Vanguard Ops playlist while eliminating them from Nightfall rotations. These strikes will still be available for direct launch, but until they get brought up to the engagement parity with some of our most recent Vanguard content, they will not show up as frequently as part of ritual gameplay. Aside from strikes, we're also going to be upgrading how Battlegrounds integrate with Vanguard Ops. Alongside Lightfall, the Season 16 and Season 19 Battlegrounds will be added to the Vanguard Ops playlist. We really like the fast enemy-filled chaos of Battlegrounds. So this year, we will also be adding a section of Battlegrounds battlegrounds as Nightfalls. This process will begin with the Mars Heist battleground being part of the Nightfall rotation in Season of Defiance, and we expect more battlegrounds to be following suit each season. We're excited to see how players tackle Season of Defiance's first Nightfall rotation, where 4 out of the 6 Nightfalls will be new or refreshed content coming to the Grandmaster rotation for the first time. Thank God. Look, I love GMs, some of my favorite content, but it is getting kind of bland. We expect even the older Nightfalls to feel rekindled by new loadout options, since the match game modifier is also being retired from Nightfalls with the launch of Lightfall. Dude, watch Bungie make Lake of Shadows the hardest Nightfall in the game. Wouldn't that be a troll? Literally the easiest turned into the hardest. Now looking further, as we get further away from Lightfall in our seasonal schedule, we are going to be making some targeted changes to ritual content based on what we've observed about why players engage in this content. While we don't expect these changes to make it in for Season of Defiance, over time we want to start pushing both more rewards to ritual content and more options to engage with our ritual content. This will include changes such as moving the initial source of obtaining exotic armor away from lost sectors and back into the core rituals. No longer asking players to earn all 3 of the ritual pursuit ornaments in seasonal challenges, and allowing players to earn more rewards and complete more of their weekly challenges by playing content of their choice, not just in the newest seasonal activity playlist. This rebalancing of objectives and rewards is going to be a slow burn over the year of Lightfall, and we're going to take a more direct approach in our last season of the year, dedicating a significant amount of development time toward a more core ritual-focused season. While this season will have plenty of new activities and story content, we want to take this time right before the final shape to crisp up our core rituals and pursuits as we head into our final expansion of the Light and Darkness saga. This last seasonal effort is just now getting underway, so expect more details as we get further into the year. Now moving on to connect our Guardians. All right, LFG time. A lot of what we plan for this year is right around the corner, including big features like Commendations and Guardian ranks with the launch of Lightfall. The Commendation system is the first step in creating stronger connections between Guardians this year. It can be hard to reach out to someone you don't know. Commendations are an icebreaker, a simple way of saying thanks to players that you appreciated playing with. Over time, players will accumulate a ton of different commendations that help build a story for how others in Destiny 2 perceive you. Again, this is a fantastic system, guys. Certain commendations like Pacesetter and Saint's Favorite are only available to be given in Trials of Osiris, while others like Perceptive and Knowledgeable are given out in raid and dungeon content. Eventually, the commendations you earn will become a history for where you've been and what you've done. I wonder if we're gonna have like a dickhead commendation. With the commendation system, those at the highest levels of Guardian ranks will have proven to folks they are consistently appreciated by others in the community. Sometimes it'll be because they are the kinds of people willing to do the heavy lifting when organizing a large group of players. Sometimes it will be because even if they aren't the kinds of people comfortable speaking up, they are always doing what needs to be done to help the group overcome the obstacle in front of them. Over the last few seasons, I've been playing a bunch of heist battlegrounds, and every so often, I'll get matched with a pair of folks that I have a lot of synergy with, and will end up absolutely crushing the hive in the station. This joy has come with this tiny sense of regret that I'm not living just a few weeks in the future and able to pass along a couple of commendations to show my thanks. I can't wait for Lightfall to be in everyone's hands so we can all have the opportunity to show gratitude to our fellow Guardians. Guys, if you've ever played Final Fantasy XIV and Realm Reborn, it is a good feeling afterwards to get commendations from everyone on the team, right? Especially if you popped up and saved the squad. Now, nice chat. Commendations represent just the first step of reaching out to one another. If players want to generate a deeper relationship, they need the opportunity to communicate. Over the last few years, Destiny 2 has often felt too lonely for those who aren't playing with folks that they know. In order to improve this, we like to invest in the overall chattiness of Destiny 2. This is not something that's going to happen right away with Lightfall, but we want to start opening up more lines of communication between our players this year. To start, we want to change our game-wide text chat channels from opt-in to opt-out. What this means is that more players will naturally be put into our text channels, so you have more frequent opportunities to reach out to fellow Guardians. Over time, we like to continue to invest in deeper chat moderation, better filtering, and bigger features like speech-to-text. We think that text chat is a great way for players to communicate with one another at their own pace while still retaining some anonymity. This does not mean that text chat is going to become required for Destiny 2. We still plan on allowing anyone inside of Destiny 2 the ability to opt out of text chat entirely, meaning they'll never automatically be added to social text chat. We also plan to allow anyone the option to quick leave channels on a case-by-case basis if the chat is trending in a way that makes their game experience worse. This is all going to be very new for Destiny, so I expect that we'll be learning a lot from these first steps and tweaking our plans with chat and how open various channels are as we go forward and get feedback from all of you. Honestly, guys, I think this is fantastic. I know some of you just want to chill and game. Some of the best times I have ever had was jumping in LFG and just kind of finding my way into a party with someone and just chatting for the first time. Now, Fireteam Finder. The last piece of our social puzzle for the year is our biggest, Fireteam Finder. Initially, we hope to get our take on a first class in-game looking for group tool in players' hands this summer with Season Season 22, alongside our next reprise raid, making a perfect pairing for new raiders. But as our plans became more solidified, we realized that the features needed to create a truly top-notch LFG experience were going to require a bit more time. So while that reprise raid is still coming out in the summer, we're pushing Fireteam Finder out to our final season of the year alongside a brand new dungeon. I guess better late than never. I wish it was coming out like literally Lightfall. This is a system that needs to happen sooner rather than later. Now, we think that a truly first-class LFG system won't be perfect until we can see our players use it. But we want to make sure that the initial launch still has a ton of features that will allow players to find a team inside of Destiny. This means a Fireteam Finder that you can queue up from anywhere in the game. The ability to tag your post with keywords to describe the kind of group you're running and the kind of people you're looking to recruit. The option to create groups where folks can join automatically, allowing you to get right into the action. And the power to create groups where you as a leader can approve or deny each person trying to join up, giving you tight control over the kind of group you're trying to put together. I can't wait for Fireteam Finder to make its way into player hands later in Lightfall's year and to see how many more of our Guardians will be able to enjoy some of the best content in gaming alongside all of you. So those are the big 4 for the year. Expand players' imaginations, bring challenge back to Destiny, enrich our content, and connect our Guardians. It's not going to happen all at once, and we most certainly will try some things that aren't going to land right on for the first attempt. But we're going to continue to take risks with Destiny 2 because we think taking risks is essential to surprising and delighting our players. It's possible that we get into this year and discover a new set of opportunities and challenges for us to pursue. If that happens and our roadmap for the year changes, you'll hear from us. We'll keep you posted on our website and our socials. And as we talked about at the start, Destiny 2 is a big, living, breathing organism, and what it needs to thrive is always changing. But one thing you can count on is that just as many of you are choosing to spend your precious time in this game role. We're proud and grateful to be there dreaming about, creating, and experiencing this game we all love. Thanks for reading, and see you on Neomuna. Joe Blackburn, Game Director, Destiny 2. All right, guys, that is your state of the game and the year ahead for Lightfall. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Again, I would love to have the LFG system in Lightfall, but in the grand scheme of things, if I had to take a trade, without a doubt, loadouts to me come first. LFG stuff, we already have that, but we really don't have loadouts outside of Dim, and don't get me wrong, I love Dim, but having an in-game build saver, that is crucial. But everything here really looks good. Again, the only thing that's kind of stretching its head up at me is the whole connection quality inside of Crucible. Really hope that starts to improve. Well, fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.